Stream Elements said the busy builder is now live, streaming miniatures.
Hello. Gonna be kind of low-key today. I'm feeling kind of tired, but I want to get some figures assembled. Put them on the half track before I get too much crap on it to break it. And then we can go from there. Where's your poof? You haven't brought me the poof. And my trash can's too far away. May or may not use all the figures in the set. And I want to see if how things look. I've got an idea in my head. Excuse me. Better heard marbles meowing at me. So I need C figure. Now these figures are intended for a 250 half track, but I think the dimensions of this area are roughly the same, so it should fit.
The model student 20 said hello there, good sir figures I see.
Hey model student, yeah, I've got two sets. This one I got mainly for these two, because I think they go well on the half track. And the other one, I wanted some more casual figures for the background. But I keep wondering if I shouldn't get an M8 Greyhound and just recreate the scene from the newsreel. I may have to get a fresh X-Acto blade on. Frankie, did you put your poof underneath my little carts? Dumb little kitty cat. So typical
At the
dragon
model
figure part
student
breakdown.
20 said decisions.
Yeah, I've got enough big models coming and already here that I really don't need an M8 Greyhound. And I'm still pondering something for the AAV, because the other model I bought for that has arrived. But I wonder, do I build the whole model and represent it getting its engine pulled, or do I put the engine on pallets like it's getting prepped to be picked up and save the main model for another build, like independent of it? Because given the size of both of the vehicles, it could be a bit large. Trying to find the seam line. There it is. So again, decisions.
At the model student 20 said the pallet file in Hindi is good. My KA-29 came, I pick her up tomorrow.
Yeah, I'd have to see what kind of pallets they'd have used, or if it would have just been put on dunnage. I think I already did that one. Yeah. But the first of my books came in today. I can go over that in a minute too, because I'm going to use and refer to these when I do the old school back to basics school build.
At the model student 20 said the pallet file in Hindi is good. My KA-29 came, I pick her up tomorrow.
I heard it the first time. Sorry I haven't got to it yet. I'm thinking really slow. Are you excited to get it? What are you doing, Frank? Huh? What? I just had a very long day of work.
I have no idea why that went twice. Yes, it's going to push my deal over the top.
And that's what I'm trying to avoid. I like smaller scenes. So my idea is have the half track here with kind of a fall tree right here. These guys hanging out underneath having a smoke break, while this guy and the other one kind of discuss what's going on.
The model student 20 said nice.
Oh, I found pictures. You know that four-wheeler you built for your current diorama? I found pictures of one actually stuffed inside an AAV. They took the seats out of the AAV and put it in there. I always love the detail these old dragon figures had. Really good stuff.
At the model student 20 said awesome, I experimented turning a dollar store scrubby pad into a tree. It was all I had, it kinda worked.
Well, the needs must, right? And I know I'm on kind of late today. It's been a week and it's only half over. Today is my Wednesday, really. But I will be off Sunday and Monday. Don't know if I'll do anything Christmas Day.
At the model student 20 said I have a set of dragon figures that came with the firefly, they're nice.
Well, by the time Dragon got into the figure market, we had Tamiya, Airfix with their historic series, a couple different monogram ones from their vehicles, and Italeri. But Italeri used old Eshi molds, and they... see something here. They were usually in soft vinyl. So as I thought, it's a lot closer than, because he's supposed to be grabbing it. So the 250 is slightly narrower. This is why I haven't put the head or anything else on. I want to be sure I can have him grab it properly and still sit on the vehicle. That handrail is not helping things. Alright, there we go. It can work. I'll be able to figure something out, but it can work. So get your hand on the shield. Yeah, okay, that'll work out. Because he should clear the seat. He should clear the driver's seat okay.
At the model student 20 said perfect.
No, not yet. Yeah, there we go. And I'll probably take a file to his butt just to put like a crease in it. Have it feel more like his weight's sitting down. But that can work. His foot's hanging down just behind the seat. That actually feels really good and natural. Don't fall off, don't fall off. It fell off. But you get the idea. Alright. I don't go until much later tomorrow, so it's going to be nice not having to wake up to my alarm clock.
At the model student 20 said he fits good in there, gotta flip my burger back on the gym.
No worries. Making sure I'm getting the head where I kind of want it.
At sfc.m said came here for the ma, K. Staying for the figure class.
Yeah, I've got a couple machining Krieger things, just nothing I feel like working on right now. It comes and goes. How you doing? Welcome to the channel. Yeah, we probably won't get to painting today. I want to be sure they're assembled and overall decent, and anything I can leave off like weapons and stuff, I'll leave off until after I paint them. We're just getting basic assembly done right now. Pistol holder and headphones. Pistol holster. If anything, since this particular figure is so well known because of the newsreel he was in the actual German soldier, I may not use this one in the scene, but I could still use these guys. Because I might pay more attention to him as a standalone figure. Take some Mr. Surfacer right there. Yeah, that side blended good. This one looks a bit too separate still. There's his headset pieces. Though I don't know if I should put the headset on because I don't have the radio in this. No, why not? I'll figure something out. something we'll put on later after the figure dries a bit better is the wow, my brain just stopped working. The strap goes over his head for the headphones. Actually, you know what we'll do? Just to make it feel a bit more natural, we'll have this one lifted up on the side of his hat a little bit, exposing his ear, because he is trying to communicate with somebody else. And that's hard to do when you got both ears covered. We'll do that. Ah. Come on. There. I even do it sometimes when I'm talking to my wife. I'll take the earpiece off. So aside from the headphone piece and the cables he's done, I need the D screws. So all we're doing right now is just basic assembly. I could have done this off stream, but I felt like having somebody to talk to. So SFC, what machining Krieger model brought you to the channel?
The model student 20 said, "Ma, K Lovett just built a 1/35th fireball for my Dio."
I have a shelf next to me that's mostly 1/20th scale. I've got my Fireball, my Raptor, my SAFS, they're all upstairs, my AFS Mark 1. Down here I've got more of the Koenigskrot, the Krot, the Gans.
At the model student 20 said, "Hi SFC, M."
What else? The New Spotter, one of its other variants. The Fledermaus, Hornies. Yeah, I got quite a few. I have to rebuild my Falk because some little furball knocked it off the shelf. It's mostly okay.
At the model student 20 said, "In the 1/20th range I've only built the MK44 so far."
I built that kit. It was fun, but it didn't feel the same as the old Nitto kits. And while it is...
SFC.M said, "Howdy, they're model students."
And
It's
the...
a very neat niche storyline.
Well, the,
At the model student 20 said, "I enjoyed it a lot."
Well, the Mark 44, MK44, it was designed by Ko Yokoyama. But from what I understand, it was initially part of a different series called Robot Battle 5. but it was done in the same scale and later picked up by Hasegawa when the range became more popular again. Ow, that hurt. So a lot of people they kind of throw it in there with the series, but it's really not wholly from it.
At sfc.m said correct.
And that's why its look and its like dimensions and stuff is so radically different from the other stuff. Because wasn't it the Microman range is what they used to make the original, like, for scaling at least, for the Heinrich and the AFS and the SAFS. And then once those base suits were done, they kind of expanded the lore and expanded the designs more and more as it gained popularity.
At the model student 20 said I saw the short flick from the 80s.
I have it on my computer. It's on
sfc.m
YouTube.
said they used a lot of F1 figures.
They used a lot of F1 pit crew, exactly, because to me it was, they still are huge in the 1/20th scale F1. And a lot of former Tamiya designers, I keep wandering off to the right. Let me move my camera so I stay centered. Separated
The
from
model
Tamiya.
student 20 said or 90s maybe.
Yeah, late 80s, early 90s. No, Nutcracker was made in the 80s. But the range really expanded in the late 80s, early 90s. Then there was the huge legal battle with Hobby Japan. That slowed things down. That's what made it rare to find for a long time. And then it experienced a boom in the early 2000s when it was renamed into Machining Krieger. It used to be SF3D. Because Hobby Japan was granted the rights to the SF3D name, and Ko Yokoyama was granted the rights to his designs, so he had to rename it into Machining Krieger to continue selling the kits. And one hill I'll die on is I prefer the look, feel, and just construction of the old Nitto kits. I don't care what anyone says. I built some of the new wave ones. They don't sit right with me. Something about those old Nitto kits just felt right the way it was
At the model
done.
student 20 said kinda like trying to get the heavy metal soundtrack for like 40 years.
Yes,
Wow.
just so the movie did get its re-release. I think it was in the late 90s, early 2000s, because everybody finally came to an agreement and allowed it to happen. But that's what kept it from being widely distributed in the 80s, because yeah, they couldn't get the rights to all the different music used in the film for international distribution on home media.
At the model student 20 said classic.
A lot of Canadian actors, a lot of passed away Canadian actors in that film. John Candy, Harold Ramis. Who was it that was the cab driver at the beginning? His voice was really familiar. Eugene Levy was in it, I think, if I remember right. Yeah, I've got the Nutrocker film on my computer. I watch it every now and again. It's a good Christmas movie. Or did you not know that it took place that time of year?
At the Model Student 20 said one of the best soundtracks for Rock Blue Lamb, Stevie Nicks.
I don't know. I like the Psychic Wars by Blue Oyster Cult. One funny thing I remember is, you know, I hadn't seen the film yet because I was like 10 at the time, and because of the distribution problems, but my brothers had seen heavy metal, and my father had rented Transformers the movie. And they watched that with me, and they're like, and as soon as they heard the soundtrack to that, they're like, how is it this movie has more heavy metal music in it than the actual heavy metal movie? And by that I mean like hairband and heavy metal, you know, not just rock music. Because the heavy metal soundtrack to me always just, it felt more like just rock music, where, I don't know, maybe my idea of metal at the time was different.
At the Model Student 20 said awesome tunes. Heartbeat Radar Rider are awesome. True Companion Don Felder amazing tune. It's a lot of good music.
Even then, at least to me, because, you know, I grew up listening to Y&T and Queensryche and stuff like that, and the music in heavy metal always struck me as more radio rock than heavy metal. To position him oddly, but he'll work too. I might have to flatten out his hand a bit, but he works.
At the Model Student 20 said why. Model Student 20 said Night Ranger still a mega fab. At sfc.m said heavy metal was made in 1979-80 though.
Yeah, so but you still had, you had the early metal bands in 79-80. You had Twisted Sister didn't come out. Who was there? You had the groups that laid the groundwork for what we now know as metal, you know?
Said Thin Lizzy Motorhead.
Yeah, stuff like that would have been more applicable for that sound.
At the Model Student 20 said Crocus.
But then again, the Heavy Metal 2000 movie missed the same beat. They had more stuff like KMFDM, so it was more industrial. It was more, not exactly EDM, but it was just more electronic than it was heavy metal. But they do reflect the times they were made in, you're not wrong.
At sfc.m said Scorpions were there too.
But I'm talking strictly the soundtrack in the film. And there's a couple bands they missed that they could have used to good effect.
At the Model Student 20 said Thrash Industrial. At sfc.m said True That. Industrial Takeover.
And I wish that the animation budget had been higher for Heavy Metal 2000. because the idea is strong, and I know it's based on a running storyline in their magazine at the Times. But just I don't know, the animation felt very crude and all over the place. Like, some scenes felt well animated, others, they were running at like 5 frames a second, mixed with the CG. It just, ugh. Again, a product of its time. Okay, that ended. Okay, get some more open here. And don't get me wrong, I don't mind industrial at all, obviously. But if you're going to name a movie heavy metal, have it be heavy metal. But I know it's more just... And that's why the second movie didn't work as well, because even the magazine had always been like an anthology, you know? There was always different short stories. Sometimes they'd go into another magazine and another magazine. But overall, they were one and dones within the books. And that's why the first movie worked so well as it did, especially with the styles changing every short. But at least there was a consistent quality to the animation. And the second one just didn't have that. It really felt... It felt more like, let's look at animated Julie Strain, and less like, here is a follow-up to this amazingly animated film.
At sfc.m said almost the US version of Hobby Japan without the modeling. Lol.
Yeah, kinda. I wish Hobby Japan had a localized release. Because there's a lot of good stuff in those books that just get missed by a lot of people because, you know, we're not really importing it, and if we do, most people who buy it can't read it. Or as Donald Sutherland said, we just like pretty pictures. That reminds me, I need to get back to work on my 16th scale oddball Sherman. I got the proper gun barrel, proper mantlet with the right casting numbers, the right hull, the right turret. Just need to, and it's even put together and running. I just need to finish detailing it, get it painted. So the figure I'm building right now was actually retooled in 16th scale and sold. I remember building it years and years and years ago. Oh, but when I do the back to basics or old school build, whatever you want to call it, I need to put a poll up where you guys can suggest names. But I'm going to have the Shep Payne books and the figure painting book by Kalambach handy, because I want to try and use methods from those, because there's a lot of good information. And another part of it is not just the super saturation of certain companies right now, but if you were to go into a forum as a beginning modeler and ask, hey, I'm building my first model kit, what do I need to do? Your answers would range from the sarcastic, assholes.
The model student 20 said that's too basic build-up.
But your answers would range from the sarcastic assholes who've been doing it longer than I have, to you have to buy all this expensive shit, right? To people suggesting more advanced things that most basic builders wouldn't understand, right? And I'll even show you right now just so you kind of know what I'm getting at. And this is, to me, where books play a big hand in this. And this is just to lay in a foundation. You're going to start building your first model. Instead of asking the internet, get this. You know, they make them for planes, they make them for boats. But get this, this takes you from the basic kit, basic construction, to detailing, to scratch building, casting your own resin parts. It shows a little bit of everything. It's mostly black and white, but it's very descriptive. And it shows a lot of simple stuff. It even helps you troubleshoot airbrush issues, regular brush painting issues. Even dry brushing. I mean, look at that. Look at the mud on there. Right? Can we get a focus? Yes, we can. And that's before all these miracle fluids came out. And he describes how to do it. All kinds of different things. But it's put simply and clearly, and even the pictures are well done enough that somebody with a basic understanding could read it and get what he's saying. Right? And same thing with this. Specifically for acrylic paints. And it gives you the same thing. Basic assembly of the figure, the different types, resin, plastic, vinyl, how to add stuff, basic prep, you know, goes through faces, uniforms. And you guys have seen me do camouflage on the Flectarn figures almost the exact same way it's shown here. So, and that's what I find a lot of difficulty with, and I see a lot of younger modelers dealing with it as well, is just getting the information they need. You know, getting that solid foundation that makes sense. Because that's the one thing I always run into, even when I'm looking for something. I ask one question and I find 20 answers, and none of them directly answer that question. So I'm left wondering, okay, did I ask the right thing? Am I the asshole? Or are people just so out of touch when it comes to that stuff? So yeah, the internet's great, depending on what you're looking for, but it's always good to have just a handy, solid, foundational book of some sort that's not trying to push a product, it's not trying to push a brand, none of that. Okay, I forgot to put this on the other guy. And that's, again, what I'm going to do with that particular build.
At the model student 20 said, searching a copy now.
I found mine on eBay. And I think it's going to be here either Saturday or Monday. I'll have to look real quick. But there's one on doing dioramas, and it covers, you know, basic layouts, proportions, you know, and this is all from Shep Payne. World-renowned diorama builder from the 70s up until his passing in 2015. He was constantly working on something. Just to give an idea of the details on these guys. Come on, autofocus, help me. You don't want to help today. Okay. Because you might be trying to think of how to do something, and you can't find an answer when that book basically takes you through the simplest way of doing it. And which one are you looking for? The figure painting one or the basic building one? I had that figure painting book back in the early 90s, and it changed how I painted figures.
Model student 20 said tanks and military.
Yeah, it's by Shepard Payne. P-A-I-N-E. And some of the things he discusses in it might seem outdated, simply because of the kits at the time, but they are still foundationally instrumental. And it's that simplicity that makes it work so easily. So let's get the arm on, and while it's still adjustable, we'll get the Sturmgewehr magazine pouches on. Looks like those should be higher into his armpit though. Come on, come out. Works. Actually, you know what? Let's get this fully on here first. think that's what they're going for on this, the way it's shaped. Yep. Yep. I like that better. Now, if I'm looking at this right, it does have a strap for this gas mask container, but it's not matching up. So I decided to play opposite day. And it's funny to me how many of these figures are depicted as smoking. He's supposed to have a cigarette in his hands. This guy's pointing, he's got one in his hands. Probably the same one I have on the way that I read as a kid. I read it so much it fell apart. Does it have like a guy on an Israeli soldier on a T-62 on the cover? At least that's the version I got. But it's how to build dioramas by Shep Payne. There was an older edition, it had like a B-26 assembly line on it and stuff like that. But what I find essential in these is they are strictly foundational. They are, you need the, hi. They don't waste time talking about all these wet effects and snow effects and things like that.
As a model student 20 said yes, that's the one.
Yeah, that's the same one I've got on the way. Hi, Allie. Is it time for a kitty break? Huh? Sorry. She does this every now and again. Long-time viewers will know. Half the thumbnails on my live channels, or live videos, have her butt in them. Yeah, pretty girl. Yes, you are. What can I do for you, Miss Allie?
As a model student 20 said I'm going to order them. They're used on a thrift book site.
Yep, I found mine on Amazon. There's the site called thriftbooks.com. She's fine. Oh, watch the tail girl. Come here. Oh, you're gonna get snuggles now. Yeah, you're getting snuggles. Oh, I know. Yeah, pretty girl. You need to be over here. She's like, no, I want to be the center of attention. I need tape. Oh shit. I just knocked my camera around. Again. There.
As a model student 20 said Amazon one couldn't get in tomato.
What? Those darn non-Canadian booksellers. So, the other night I watched Strange Brew finally. And then yesterday morning at work we had the radio going. And they played the 12 Days of Christmas, eh? They played Bob and Doug's 12 Days of Christmas. Unfortunately, everybody else I work with is kind of too young to get that stuff, so yeah, I felt really out of place. Especially when I was singing along, and they didn't know what the hell back bacon was.
At the model student 20 said I've an alternate plan. Is that thrift book site okay? Bob and Doug awesome.
I would email them first to make sure, because that thriftbooks.com is the same site I bought mine through on Amazon. But it might just be that Amazon's fulfillment centers can't help you there, where you might be able to order them directly from Thrift Books.
At the model student 20 said email in. The model student 20 said I will check good thinking.
Yeah, but like I said, those books are how I got my start. They showed me enough to let me know that I was doing right and wrong in terms of what I was doing, but at the same time directed me enough that I was able to gain confidence. And that's the real thing, is gaining that confidence in your abilities to do it. I'll have to fiddle with that gun a little bit. I might have to cut the forwards, not the forward sight, the rear sight off, just so it'll sit properly, because it needs to go right up in there. I need to get his bread bag on first. Where are you? Yeah, but I would definitely email them or call them, you know, tomorrow when they're open. If they have a phone number to contact them at. They don't always. Okay, looks like, yeah, there's the attachment clips right there. Canteen. used to do a lot of World War II stuff. Not so much anymore. Kind of getting back into it. But I find a lot of people still tend to get a little bit on the side if you even paint something the shade that they don't use. So. I'm just using a thin strip of masking tape to mimic the strap for this.
At the model student 20 said, I haven't done much a Porsche BMW bike, sidecar and a Schwimmer wagon.
I almost got a Schwimmwagen. Too thick. I can't see where that's coming out, so right there. That's what I wanted. Right there. Now I can bring you back up and over. You stay there. There. That way once that sets up a bit, I can just glue it right there and snip it off. Now a similar thing on binoculars. This will be a bit easier since they're hanging free from the figure's chest. Whoopsie! And if you guys kind of want to follow along on what I'm doing and try it yourself, just grab the Trumpeter LAV-C2 and I'll make up another kind of list of things as we get closer. It's a simple kit, still pretty cheap and widely available. Piece of plastic dust. dazzling. That's good. And that just stuck to my finger. Again with the not so super glue. Thank you. And as we paint them, the paint will help set that properly. Right now, we can just do that. Thank you, Mr. Ramus. His arm moved a bit. And this guy is in the dot camouflage. A lot of these guys will be wearing some of the late war stuff. This guy is going to have the gray and orange yellow camouflage with a green and olive top. A real mishmash of different camouflage schemes. You're probably asking, why are you doing all this assembly before you paint? Trust me, it's actually quite easy. Anything else I'm missing? Besides getting his weapon in his hand. The only thing I won't do is attach the weapon just yet. Doing this just adds that much more depth to the figure, having that strap sitting proud. grab a hold glue. Damn it. I had that threaded in that hole. Good enough. Now, there is a sporting goods store near me that actually sells the STG-44 in 22 LR. Semi-auto, of course. These are
At the model student 20 said not here. Lol.
Oh, that's a discussion for another time and place. I like to use this, any thinner round piece, I just roll it until it gets pretty close. And since it's sitting on his head oddly, it won't be evenly shaped. Test fit before I even do that. I think that's one thing I remembered from these these dragon figures, is these photo etch parts never seemed big enough to get over the head. Yeah. Either that or I've just got this earphone too low, which is most likely the case.
Entropy.
Still not as much as I'd
Model
like.
student 20 said that Ina GIF need a fresh brew.
No worries. You talking beer or tea? Because tea actually sounds good, and I've got some PG tips upstairs. Yeah, that'll work.
Entropy.
Where did that just go? Good thing they give me spares. Good God. Found it. It was on my pants. Come on, glue, just hold. Real question, how many times am I going to knock this thing off before I get to actually painting it? Adding a little dab of super glue to the backside, allowing capillary action to pull it in there. Shouldn't be noticeable once it's painted. Yeah, that works for me. But I knew this was going to be a short stream when I started. Getting towards dinner time, but I got 3 of them done. Might work on some more on Sunday and Monday. I don't know exactly. I don't know what I want to work on that day, to be honest. I really don't want to start anything new, but that Tacom M60 is really calling my name. Definitely gonna have to notch his backside. So I'm probably gonna call it a stream for right now, because, like I said, gotta go get dinner going. Yeah, I'll be back on Sunday, and oh, I guess the battery ran out on the turntable. Okay, gotta recharge that. But yeah, see y'all hopefully Sunday morning, and